Hello dear students, welcome to 10th Standard History, Unit 8, Era of Gandhi and National Movement, Unit 2, Part 2. Yes dear students, in this part, what all the things we are going to discuss, we will let you know. First question, are you able to identify the great personality in the picture? Will you guess? Yes dear students, he is none other than Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. What was the reason behind launching non-cooperation movement? Jallianwala Bagh massacre was the reason behind launching non-cooperation movement. Choose the appropriate answer. In which state Chauri Chaura is located? Yes dear students, here is the answer, Uttar Pradesh. In the last unit, we have discussed about early life of Mahatma Gandhi ji, Gandhiji's beginning struggles in India, achievements of Gandhiji's inner life, especially Ahimsa and Satyagraha, and Jallianwala Bagh massacre and Khilafat movement. These are the things that we have discussed in our last unit, dear students. In this unit, what all we are going to discuss? Let's know. In this part, you will learn about non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement, the causes behind launching these movements. Apart from this one, you are going to learn about farmers' protest in India, workers' protest in India, and tribal revolt. Non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement was one of the major movement in the history of India, mainly launched due to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Dear students, Jallianwala Bagh massacre had severe impact on the minds of the Indians because it gave a mass face to the Indian freedom struggle. Yes dear students, let's know more about it. The Congress passed a resolution to hold non-cooperation movement in its special national convention held in Calcutta on September 4th, 1920. Apart from this one, Congress wanted to keep the ball of its movement rolling, and it wanted to create awareness among the Indians against the British. It wanted to make the Indians to stand for their rights. It aimed at educating the people about the British for their brutal killing in the Jallianwala Bagh, and also it wanted to prevent Jallianwala Bagh like incidents in future, opposing the British rule and withdrawing Rowlatt Act were the major demands before launching non-cooperation movement Gandhiji had placed before the British. And moreover, Gandhiji wanted to take the movement to the common people, to the mass in a much more wider way. Yes dear students, programs of non-cooperation movement. Boycotting schools, colleges and courts was one of the major tasks of the non-cooperation movement. Boycotting the elections to regional legislative bodies held according to 1919 Act. Returning all the honors and medals given by the British. Nominated members to the local bodies resign from their membership. Boycotting all the government functions, boycotting the foreign goods. What were the impacts of non-cooperation movement? Let's know. Though many of its main aims remained unachieved, it created some deep impacts. The freedom movements became people's movement. The Congress-led movements took some revolutionary turns in course of time. The Hindu-Muslim unity was temporarily achieved. The national freedom movement went beyond the boundaries of the cities, towns, and it gave its entry to the villages, dear students. On February 5th, 1922, a big group of around 3,000 farmers assembled in front of the police station. They had assembled there to protest against the police officer who had beaten the Congress workers when they were protesting in front of an arak shop. The police started shooting from inside the station. Enraged by this act, people torched the police station. As a result of this, all the 22 policemen were charged to death. Gandhiji realized that this due to lack of preparation and morality among the people to hold non-violent protests. Hence, he withdrew non-cooperation movement on February 12, 1922. The withdrawal of non-cooperation movement disheartened many congressmen, Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. Chittaranjan Das advocated the withdrawal of boycott of legislative assemblies and re-enter the system again. Swaraj Party was founded in 1923 by Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. During the elections that were held in November 1923, Swaraj Party won 42 seats out of 101 seats available. Reasons for the beginning of civil disobedience movement. The British government appointed Simon Commission in the year 1927. The commission was supposed to study the effects of the Government of India Act 1919, which was rightly called as Montagu-Chelmsford Act. Simon entered India on February 3, 1928. The commission witnessed wide protest with the slogans like Simon, go back. Thus, bunds and hartals were organized in different places like Bombay, Lahore and Madras. Lala Lajpat Rai died when the protesters were lathi charged in Lahore. Motilal Nehru tabled a report. Even Gandhiji appreciated the work done by Nehru Committee because Motilal Nehru was given an option. When Simon was asked to go back, the government of the British requested Congress to appoint the person or the committee of their wish to study the impact of Government of India Act 1919. Congress chose Motilal Nehru to head the committee to study about the impact of Government of India Act 1919 and to table a report regarding what exactly the Indians want. It made a new beginning that Motilal Nehru made a detailed study about what exactly the Indians wanted. So, Motilal Nehru tabled a report which was appreciated by the Gandhiji and the various other freedom fighters. Nehru report advocated for dominion status for India along with internal federal structure. Federal structure is a system where the rule will be divided among the two. Means two people will share the rule or an agreement between cluster of areas where the power will be shared. This is what we call it as federal system. Motilal Nehru made it very clear, India must get the dominion status. What do you mean by dominion status? Dominion status is nothing but getting major share in the power. Thus, he wanted the British and the Indians should share the power in such a way that Indians must have major share in the administration and British should have less influence in the Indian administration and India should have a federal system of governance or rule. In Lahore Congress Convention, under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru, adopted a special resolution demanding total independence, that is the Purna Swaraj. January 26, 1930 was declared as the Indian Independence Date. Dear students, for the first time on 26th January 1930, on the banks of the river Ravi, which is now in Pakistan, for the first time Jawaharlal Nehru declared that we want complete freedom, no dominion status, which was stated by his father Motilal Nehru. Now we want complete independence, that is the Purna Swaraj for Indians. Motilal Nehru in his report wanted the British to give dominion status to India, but on 26 January 1930, on the Lahore session, on the floors of the Lahore session, it was Jawaharlal Nehru who gave historic speech that now India expects Purna Swaraj. We demand complete independence for India. Thus, Indian freedom struggle went ahead with the new turn from here onwards. In 1930, the working committee of the Congress met at Sabarmati Ashram and passed a resolution to hold civil disobedience under the leadership of Gandhiji. Gandhiji wrote a letter to the Viceroy demanding 11 points. As we have discussed in earlier unit, Sabarmati Ashram was like the headquarters of the Indian National Congress, and it may not be wrong if we say that that is the Indian freedom struggle. Most of the decisions were taken by Gandhiji from Sabarmati Ashram. This was one of the historic decisions taken by Mahatma Gandhiji, that they will go ahead with demanding the then Viceroy Irwin to fulfill 11 demands. As the Viceroy rejected the letter, declared on March 12, 1930, that he would walk with followers up to Dandi, the coastal area of Gujarat. Gandhiji covered 375 kilometers on foot and reached Dandi. He broke the law by holding a fistful salt without paying the tax, which the British had levied on salt. Dear students, every one of us know that salt is an important entity that we need in preparing all the food stuff. Whether we belong to one community, one religion, or another community or another religion, whichever community, whichever profession we may belong to, but salt was used, and even today it is used by all the community people equally. British wanted to make more profit, so they imposed tax on salt. Any Indian preparing the salt without permission of the British was considered as illegal. Thus, Gandhiji, who went all the way from Sabarmati to Dandi, a distance of 375 kilometers, what did he do? He went ahead with covering a distance of 375 kilometers all the way from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a distance of 375 kilometers he covered and prepared a fistful of salt on Dandi, that is the coastal region of Gujarat. He broke the law when Viceroy did not go ahead with fulfilling the demands of Mahatma Gandhiji. Many leaders like Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, Kamala Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Rajgopalachari, Babu Rajendra Prasad, and many other leaders who had participated with Gandhiji in Dandi March were arrested because they had broken the law of preparing the salt. Slowly, the movement spread to the other parts of the country as well, and it gave a new twist and turn to the Indian freedom struggle. Meanwhile, a meeting of Indian legislative representatives was held at London in 1930. This is the first roundtable conference. This meeting conveyed the message that the government alone cannot take measures and ignore the Indians anymore. It must take the consult of the Indians to make any of the rules, regulations, or the laws. This was the strength of the Congress which was achieved over a long period of freedom struggle. The first Roundtable Conference approved dominion status, responsible government and religious representation in the Indian politics. Since the Indian National Congress did not participate, hence it remained incomplete, because Indian National Congress was the major political party at that time, and it was the party or the organization that had a wide following, the people belonging to different professions, different religions and different regional areas. Thus, when Congress itself did not take part in first Roundtable Conference, first Roundtable Conference was declared as a failure. In order to make the Roundtable Conferences a success, a pact between Viceroy Irwin and Gandhiji was signed. It is generally called as Gandhiji-Irwin Pact. As a result, Congress stopped the civil disobedience movement and agreed to participate in the second Roundtable Conference, because an agreement had occurred between Gandhiji and Irwin, the then Viceroy of the British. Now, British realized the strength of Indian National Congress and requested the Congress to come for a discussion, and it requested Congress leaders to take part in the second Roundtable Conference, which was held in the year 1931. The British government declared to provide a separate electoral constituencies for the untouchables. It implemented communal award in the year 1932. Gandhiji opposed it and started fasting unto death. Efforts were made to convince Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. As a result, Pune Pact was entered. Dear students, again the British wanted to play the game of divide and rule policy through the communal reward or the communal award, which was to be launched in the year 1932. This was nothing but divide and rule policy they wanted to extend in India. They wanted to continue with divide and rule policy in India. But Gandhiji made it very clear that Congress is not going to accept communal award at any cost. They are against this communal award. Mahatma Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar signed Pune Pact with a lot of discussion, understanding, give and take between Congress and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Thus, Pune Pact was signed, which mentioned it very clearly that Congress will stand by the untouchables, and Congress will ensure that untouchability will be abolished step by step in India. So, this is how the Pune Pact was signed between Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Yes, dear students, Congress did not participate in the third Roundtable Conference, opposing the decisions of the government. As a result, these Roundtable Conferences, the British brought in Government of India Act 1935. The British passed on Government of India Act 1935. Thus, British implemented Government of India Act 1935, which had so many privileges, provisions which were in favor of the Indians. Due to the various political developments at Europe, World War II had started, and the Viceroy unilaterally, without taking the consult of Indian representatives or Indians or the freedom fighters, declared that India's war against Germany, that India is going to be a part of Second World War. The Congress walked out of the cabinet opposing this decision, which was against the will and wish of the British. There was no other way left for the British. They have to come back to the Indians. Gandhiji declared personal satyagraha against the decision of Viceroy. Then British sent Sir Stafford Cripps to India to mediate between the Indian National Congress and various other Indian parties to get convinced to be a part of the Second World War. Stafford Cripps' mission proposed dominion status to India and calling a meeting to draft a new constitution were tabled before the Indian National Congress and Indian freedom fighters. These proposals were opposed by the Congress, and the Congress gave call for the Quit India movement. Gandhiji gave call to the fellow Indians. This is the final moment. Either we have to do something for getting the freedom, or we must be ready to sacrifice our life. Thus, he gave an ultimatum called do or die. Since most of the Congress leaders were jailed, non-Congress organizations took the lead in the movement. This movement created new leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan, who believed in the concept of nationalism. Nationalism is nothing but having the principle of equality in everything for every fellow in the nation. Jayaprakash Narayan, a leader of socialist wing of Congress, he along with his supporters engaged in revolutionary works. Socialism or these socialists brought out a document titled The Freedom Struggle Front and outlined their strategies in terms of Indian freedom struggle. They wanted every Indian to realize the importance of freedom movement in the absence of Congress leaders. Thus, they led the movement at an interim level. Meanwhile, efforts were made outside the border of India too. The efforts of Subhash Chandra Bose are really commendable in this direction. He fought for the Indian national movement from outside the India. The Congress walked out of the government in 1939, opposing the unilateral decision of the Viceroy to take part in the Second World War. Muslim League celebrated this walk out as Vimukti Divas and did not take part in Quit India movement. Later, Muslim League demanded for division of India. Farmers and workers protest. Farmers and workers protest had its own influence in the history of freedom movement. During the British administrations, many farmers rebelled against the British planters and jamindars because they exploited the farmers through heavy taxes. Farmers opposed the indigo cropping in Champaran district. They protested against the land tax. Gandhiji convinced the British officers through his satyagraha to withdraw the British. This was one of the major success in the history of Indian farmer struggle. The Indian National Congress tried to organize the farmers as a part of national freedom struggle. Gandhiji's influence was visible in all the activities in Champaranya, Kheda and other places where the farmers organized themselves as a protest. And Gandhiji gave a grand success to farmers organization. Another important development in the history of Indian freedom struggle is workers' protest. The workers' struggle started in Calcutta in 1827. The workers of jute and cotton mills along with the railways started organizing themselves. Railway workers held protests in railway stations and raised the slogans against the British officers because they were not only paid less, but they were made to work for very long hours. This was opposed by the workers. The Printers Union in Calcutta, the cotton mill workers of Bombay created national awareness. A labor union was founded in Madras. Later, many workers' associations started. The contribution of workers and their unions are very unique in this aspect. Tribal revolt played its own role and it had its own contribution in the history of Indian national movement. Thus, the tax and the forest policies implemented during the British administration were the reasons for the tribal revolts. Among them, revolts of Santala, Kola, Munda are very important. Santala, Kola, Munda, they are all the tribal communities in North India. Halagali Beda's revolt of Karnataka is another notable movement in this tribal revolts. The revolt of Santala is considered as an important revolt in India. The people of this tribe are presented in the hilly areas of Bengal and Odisha. The upset Santalas met secretly and decided to loot the Jamindars and moneylenders. The revolt was so severe in Bharatpur, Bharat and Rajmahal areas. As a result of these tribal people killing their enemies, these Jamindars left out their own places, that is their local places, and ran away. Thus, British did not have any other way. They have to call for the military action to control these tribal revolts. Frightened moneylenders and Jamindars fled from these areas. Though the revolt of Santalas came to an end, it became an inspiration for many revolts in future. The other tribal people who fought for their rights were Kola and Munda. They were also very prominent, who revolted against the Jamindars. Yes, dear students, we have reached to the end of this unit. Let's have a question session. These are the home assignments for you. You need to choose the appropriate answer which are there in your textbook, that is the second textbook, page number 26. First question. First Roundtable Conference was held in the year option A 1930, option B 1932, option C 1931, option D 1942. You need to find out the right answer. Second question is Swaraj Party was founded in the year 1924, 1922, 1929, 1906. You need to find out which is the right year. You need to write the answer along with the option, dear students. Another home assignment for you. List out the programs of non-cooperation movement. You need to write the answer elaborately in your notebook. Why was the division of Bengal withdrawn? Explain Chauri Chaura incident. Discuss Salt Satyagraha. Fifth question. What were the reasons for Quit India movement? Yes, dear students, in this unit we studied non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement, farmers protest, workers protest, tribal revolt, how they started in India, what were their impact on the freedom movement. These are the things we discussed thoroughly in this class. Few more additional home assignments for you. Write a note on farmers and workers protest. Briefly explain the tribal revolt. This is Sharan Basappa, HOD of Social Science Department, Carmel High School, Judges Colony, Bashweshwar Nagar, Bengaluru 79, Bengaluru North 1. I wish you all the success. Thank you.